Breaking moments ago, jobs growth slowed to a crawl last month. I want to bring in CNN's Matt Egan, who joins me now. So what are these numbers? What are we seeing in this?
Well, Omar, look, after years of resilience, the U.S. job market looks increasingly fragile, especially after the latest numbers that just came out. So this report just moments ago shows the U.S. economy added 22,000 jobs in August. That is very low. It's also just a fraction of the 77,000 jobs that had been expected. The unemployment rate went up to 4.3% from 4.2%. That was expected, but this is notable because this is the highest unemployment rate since October of 2021, and it breaks a stretch where the unemployment rate had kind of stayed in this very low range. Still relatively low, but moving in the wrong direction. The other big news here, though, is what happened as far as revisions. We saw that July was revised a little bit higher. But more important was June. June was revised from a low number of just 14,000 jobs were added to now negative 13,000 jobs. It's not quite showing up on that bar chart, but June is the first month where the U.S. economy lost jobs since December of 2020 during COVID. So this breaks a nearly 5-year stretch of job growth, of uninterrupted job growth in the U.S. economy. That's the second longest stretch in U.S. history, but now it's over. And when we're digging into some of the sectors here, a couple things stand out. We're seeing a number of the goods producing sectors in the U.S. economy lose jobs, right? We're talking about construction lost 6,000 jobs in August. Mining and logging also lost jobs. Manufacturing lost jobs as well. 12,000 jobs for manufacturing, which is, I think, pretty notable because one of the issues in this economy is all the uncertainty over trade policy, right? Tariffs are supposed to be supporting the manufacturing industry, but instead, the manufacturing industry is actually losing jobs for 4 months in a row. This is the unemployment rate going back to 2020. You see that massive spike on the left side of the screen. Of course, that was COVID, came down dramatically, stayed at historically low levels, but now on the right side of your screen, you can see it is starting to tick higher. So I think you got to put all of this into the bigger picture, right? We've gotten a number of different indicators showing that this job market really is starting to stall out. And you're looking at U.S. markets reacting. The Dow futures were down a little bit before this. They actually came up just a tiny bit from where they were. Not a major reaction, I think, from investors. I think that's because in a lot of ways, this report, it probably seals the deal on an interest rate cut later this month from the Federal Reserve. Wall Street was already thinking it was basically a slam dunk. And I think that this latest weakness, including the fact that the unemployment rate is up to a nearly 4-year high, I think that's probably going to seal the deal on a rate cut from the Fed, which is obviously something the White House has been calling for. Of course, they wanted a cut because of low inflation. That's probably not the reason, right? The reason would be because of low hiring.
And of course, this is the first jobs report since, the controversy over the regular reporting of jobs numbers last month. And so even these numbers could get revised in the future, but as you just laid out in June, the numbers could also get revised down. Right, absolutely, absolutely. Look, revisions are normal. It happens, right? As the BLS gets new survey responses in from the businesses they talk to, they're going to update their numbers just like a meteorologist who updates their hurricane forecast when they get new data. Unfortunately, these updates, though, they've been mostly coming into the downside and again, showing that hiring has really stalled out here. And it's negative in June. It's just the floor of that graph is zero. Negative, exactly. We can't see it. Matt Egan, thanks so much. Appreciate being on the Breaking News as always. Kate?
All right, let's work through this and keep that wall moment up, if you will, guys, especially with the revisions, because that was something that I know that Matt and I were talking about earlier. As we bring in now CNN global economic analyst Rana Foroohar. She's also the global business columnist and associate editor of the Financial Times. Rana, Matt laid out the numbers as they come in. Before we dive in, just your overall take. What sticks out to you?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I've been thinking for some time that we were due for weakness, even possibly a recession. A couple of things that are notable, those manufacturing numbers, that really belies the idea that these tariffs are going to somehow bring back jobs. Jobs in manufacturing are increasingly being done by technology. I think also that interest rate cut that Matt was talking about, we are probably going to see that in the fall, and that may keep the stock market up for a while. But ultimately, the market does connect with the economy. And if you continue to see a slowdown, you're probably going to see a market correction at some point, too.
adding this, you have to kind of add it all up into, there's a lot, right? You've got the data that you're working through, and then you've got layered on top of it a whole lot of politics. Revisions were the huge story last month, led to Trump blaming and firing the head of BLS for it, accusing her of intentionally cooking the books without evidence. What do you see in the revisions and the uncertainty that is kind of being sown around just the gathering of this data now?
Yeah, a really good questions, Kate. The revisions, again, don't surprise me. We often see big revisions. It's about getting more data, parsing it through. It's really about being more accurate. This is almost always the case. So not surprising at all. In terms of the politicization of the Fed, of the BLS, what's going on with Lisa Cook, of anything we've spoken about, in some ways, that's the most thing, because you've got to let the data folks do their job. You've got to have clean data. You've got to let investors, both at home and abroad, know that they can trust the data, that the U.S. is not some kind of, a third world country where central bankers just get fired or BLS data collectors get fired because the president doesn't like it. We know what happens in those countries. They have major financial crises. Turkey is a perfect example. So I am really hoping, frankly, that if we do get a rate cut for good reasons, based on what we've just seen, that maybe that'll take a little bit of the pressure off of Lisa Cook and put Trump back in his box for a while.
But, I mean, the president even suggested last night, essentially, that he's not even sure that he's going to trust the data, or at least, how he's going to play it publicly. Let me just remind everyone what the president said last night ahead of this report.
The real numbers that I'm talking about are going to be whatever it is, but will be in a year from now when these monstrous, huge, beautiful places, they're palaces of genius. And when they start opening up, you're seeing, I think you'll see job numbers that are going to be absolutely incredible.
I mean, he's like, I don't know, let's talk about it in a year. I mean, but you are getting at what's important, which when you get all this data, and then you've got people looking to the Fed, what's going to happen? Why would people want to invest in the United States when a president is saying, I don't know, maybe you trust our economic data, maybe not? I mean, because it has been the gold standard.
They wouldn't, Kate. And that's why, in fact, every single time since 2016, when Trump was first elected, every single time the U.S. has done a treasury auction, there's been fewer and fewer foreign buyers. Overseas folks don't want our treasuries anymore. That's why they're going into gold. That's why gold prices are now at a new record and probably going to go higher. Crypto companies are buying treasuries. Don't know if that makes anybody feel good. Doesn't make me feel great. But yeah, these are serious issues.
I was like, I'm trying to look at your face. I was like, so what's Rana saying on this one? Good, bad, or bad? What you talking about? It's good to see you, Rana. Thank you very much. Much more to parse through with this. Omar.
Yes, a lot to talk about here. Joining us now, CNN political commentator Kate Bedingfield. Also with us this morning, Republican strategist Neil Chatterjee as well. Good to see you both. All right, so let's start on the jobs numbers. Neil, I'll start with you. What's your initial reaction to what we're seeing here?
Yeah, look, I mean,
It's going to take time.
The president was elected to be a change agent, and some of the steps he's taking on the trade front, on energy, on pushing AI and data centers, it will take time for this to be reflected in the economy, in jobs reports. So disappointing numbers for sure, but I think it's just a data point at this juncture. Let's give it some time. Let's let these policies sink in. Let's see the economic impacts of the tax cut legislation that was signed into law last month. Let's give these policies some time to come into play, and I think we'll start to see the economy pick up as a result.
Kate, do you see it as a data point or as a symptom?
Look, I got to say that as a political matter, the argument, let's give it time, doesn't land well with people. And I say that as somebody who sat in the Biden White House and who watched throughout the 2024 campaign as Democrats tried to make the argument that some of the economic pieces that Biden had put into place would yield benefit over time. And they may well. But as an immediate political matter, that's not a great argument. And as we see, the data shows people are feeling less and less confident about the economy as you have Trump doing things like firing the head of the BLS and bringing less credibility to government data. It just continues to create this sense that things are not on the right track economically. And I think this is going to be a political problem for him. And these numbers reinforce what people are feeling in their communities all across the country.
Been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.